everybody, welcome to the tea table. We were going to do Regidrago V-Star today, but things happen, things change. So we're going to actually be looking at this crazy top 16 control list from Japan. I do not have the player, but I do know it came from PokeCA_book on Twitter. They just are like a database of top 4, top 8s of tournaments that happen in Japan. So you want to go give them a follow. I will link them in the description to their Twitter. Great follow. You find so many cool deck lists, such as this one. So today we're looking at Mewtwo stall. But you might notice, well, it's post-rotation, and it's got a lot of stuff going on here. So we're going to go through this deck list, talk about all the cards. I'm going to do my best to describe to you why each one is in there, and we're gonna see what makes this control deck tick. There's some interesting choices that I really like a lot, and I'm super excited to talk about it. So let us jump right in to the deck list. Alright, so here we go. We're going to start with Snorlax. We got the 3 Snorlax from Pokemon Go. Its ability is block. As long as this Pokemon is in your active spot, your opponent's active can retreat. It is collapse 150 to sleep. Don't worry about that. So, the main purpose is you trap in a Pokemon that may not like, you got a Lumina on your deck, and you don't have sight, or you don't have water, can't tag with it. You lock that thing in, basically, and if your opponent's out of switch cards, it's a stalemate. I mean, they're just done. You're going to win the game. It's a good late game, especially after your opponent exhausts all the resources at the beginning, try to get other control cards. This is a good finisher. There's 3 of them. I like that. You know what? I mean, you probably want to start with the 2, because if your opponent starts with the wrong Pokemon, don't forget, there's no Scuba Nets anymore. And with Lost Box in particular running the stadium, that stadium don't matter if you can't retreat. There's like there's a stadium that's like basic Pokemon costs 1 less to retreat. It don't matter if you can't retreat. So, our next Pokemon is going to be that Miltank. You see that Miltank with the reverse holo being $2 grand. Thanks stores on TCG player that buy stuff out like that. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attack your opponent's Pokemon V. Obviously not by now. We know that. We know it's a staple. You know it's coming for you. Even though we get EXs, V Pokemon well in the format there in Japan. So you're not going to need one of those, and it will be here. Then you got Route 10 plus 20 for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. We're going to move to Klefki, a new Pokemon here. I'm sorry, a new card, not a new Pokemon from the Scarlet and Violet 1 expansion. It's got Prank Lock. As long as Pokemon is the active spot, each player's big Pokemon have no abilities except for Prank Lock. So, it's a cool ability. Like, with a lot of the decks relying on base Pokemon for their first couple turns, I think it's just like not Gardevoir. You got so you got Lost Box, you got the 2 legendaries, got their decks going on with that too. It's definitely a good ability. They did just choose to go with 1 because they do have their ability of their own they want. So it's interesting to see with the 1, when they would choose to put it in there. I mean, if you open it, you open it, right? You're like, that's fine. I'm going to open it. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine because you're going to be less fine than me. Because it does shut off our Rotom. We got 2 Rotom Vs going on in this deck list. You're thinking, hold on a minute. I can't attack. That's okay. Rotom here is going to be the successor of Zacian V, basically. Install, it appears. Because Zacian drew 3, touched on metals. Don't worry about that. This one, draw 3, turns over. Same thing. So it's just to power up your hand. But with Zacian V's, V-Star doesn't have that ours has is a V-Star power that is really, really good in our deck. So you got the conversion V-Star 1 V-Star power game. Discard any number of cards, draw that many. So, wow, this card's useless. I don't need this blank this game. Or I got 2 Snorlaxes. I don't need the 3rd one. Or, more importantly, wow, I got these Mewtwo pieces in my hand. I don't want them in my hand. Conversion Star, discard those pieces, draw those cards, get Mewtwo into play, and do fun Mewtwo things. Then we got Pidgeot V. Interesting to see how Pidgeot V is in the new format. If it can, take a hit more than it could before. So, because the idea is you leave it active, it takes a hit, then you got Vanishing Wings. Once you get your opponent's on your bench, you may shuffle it into your deck. So you let it take a hit, you put it in your bench, or pick it up with one of our new supporters. Your opponent wasted an attack, but with Lightning being pretty good, and Gardevoir and Giratina being able to one-shot, I'm not sure how much of a role Pidgeot V will play in stall going forward. But this player said, I'm running with my OG. And it clearly did well. They got top 16. Then we got Manaphy. I'm going to be real. I saw the picture and was like, I don't know what that is. That card just exists. That card is in English. I bought one myself. You see, it's probably $1 after shipping because Lowell usually got some shipping there. Pulling Currents, your opponent reveals their hand. Puts 2 base Pokemon you find there onto your opponent's bench. Now you're thinking, hold on a minute. Why does that matter? Well, we're going to see later how you can combo with other cards in your deck to know what your opponent has. Then we got Aqua Bullet, 40, 20 your opponent's bench. Hey, you know what? You lock something? Yeah, why not? Get a Katax on, and look how much fun that Manaphy's having, though. It's just splash. Just splish splash. Just having a good time. Then we got Pyukumuku. We know it's a Pyukumuku there. Show it in your hand. Put it on the bottom. Draw that card. The only downside for Pyukumuku now is we do not have Quick Ball. Because you don't want to nest ball the thing on your bench. It's going to get awkward for you. But still, very good ability. Especially in this kind of deck where you just want to get more cards. And it's a sea cucumber Pokemon. Learn something new every day. We're moving on to Radiant Eternatus. You know we're just having a good time now. 1 Radiant Pokemon in your deck. We got Climactic Gate. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, during your turn you may search your deck for 2 VMAXs, put them on your bench. If you do, your ability ends. There's only 1 VMAX in this deck, and it is Duraludon VMAX. So we're getting Duraludon because as many Special Energy rotated, Lugia is still a deck, Urshifu is going to be a deck. There's probably a bunch of other things I don't even know yet because I'm still learning the format. But Duraludon's just that one you're like, hey, sometimes you can't get around the Scraper, and your opponent wins. So also imagine, that's how good Pidgeot could be good. You're like, alright, I got Duraludon and Pidgeot. You pick Pidgeot, you put Pidgeot back in your deck. Your opponent's like, what's happening? Because, unless they have a path, Raising Your Revetzal is out of here. So, interesting to see how this card shapes. This card, like, always exists. We always talk about, oh, Duraludon, Arceus, you know, is it going to be good? And then, boom, it gets there. So, interesting to see if just using the ability for stall only will make an impact. Then we got that Mewtwo line. Let's go here. Mewtwo V-Union. You got all 4 pieces in your discard pile. You put them on your bench, and your bench looks wild because you have a giant Pokemon on your bench. We got Union Gain. Tap to 2 Psych from your discard. This Pokemon helps you power up. We got Super Regeneration. I mean, heal 200. So if you're facing a deck that cannot do a lot of damage to you, or you're like, oh, you know, it's really not a threat, you just heal. What's your opponent? They can't knock you out. You just heal. Oh, you did 220. I'm taking 20 every turn. I got some time. Then we got Psy Explosion. So, also very good attack. Put 16 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon any way you like. So you heal for a couple turns, or you're like, you know what? I can't get knocked out the next turn. Let's do this. Especially because new EXs had to evolve. So you're facing a Lucario EX or whatever. They got to evolve from YOLO. Like you're facing an Ampharos EX. It has to evolve from a Reap and Flaffy. Like you have to do that. Even Magnezone. So, you could definitely pick off some prizes to slow your opponent down even more. Because sometimes, you know what? You're just going to get an aggro Mewtwo and be like, let's do it. A super underrated attack. And I've always liked Mewtwo since it came out. And Xander, thankfully, let everybody know how insane Mewtwo is. And I do thank them for that. Because I think V-Unions was a cool mechanic. I understand they're like, yeah, we're not going to make a lot because this sucked. Nobody liked it. It was weird. I get it, but I thought it was kind of a cool thing. And I want to beat you with Mewtwo's knee. So, then the final thing on Mewtwo, we got an ability, Photon Barrier, prevent all effects. That is really useful in the new format against Giratina V-Star. Can't do your V-Star attack to knock me out, buddy. Nope. No knocking out for you. So then we're going to have Final Burn. 300, sometimes you just got to hit them for 300. You just got to be like, let's go. 300 damage. Moving on with our lives. We're going to go to the supporters now. We got Colress's Experiment. Obviously, you've seen Colress in Lost Zone decks. In some Arceus decks. Duraludon. You know, some people just playing them. Look at the type 5. Put 3 in your hand. 2 in the Lost Zone. We don't have any cards that really matter with the Lost Zone, so it's not one of those things. It's just thinning your deck to get the slightly worse cards out. So if you're like, I don't need this game, you know, you're not going to need I don't need Duraludon in this game, or I don't need Eternatus, or there's no time to do Eternatus because it's turn 6. And you have a little pressure on you, so you have to go to Mewtwo. Stuff like that. Obviously, there's going to be hands where you're just like, well, I hit 4 Mewtwo. If you hit all 4 Mewtwo pieces, I got nothing, basically. But you know what I'm saying. I think it's good. It helps you thin your deck for later and all that stuff. Next, we got a supporter I love. Ace Rolls Premonition. I think the supporter is super cool. Your opponent reveals their hand. Draw a card for each training you find there, which combos with our Manaphy that we talked about earlier, because you'll know they have a basic. You're like, dang, you do have that little mini on you we're saving. Or you got this crazy, you know, you don't want that on your bench. Because you're trying to save room for someone else. So you can ace a roll, put something on their bench, hopefully bring that card up, and your opponent's just like, that's crazy. I'm having a bad time. And you get to draw a bunch of cards and know what's coming, which is really, really cool. We got Silene, obviously a staple in control decks. Flip 2 coins for each head. Put a card from your discard pile on top of your deck. Obviously a staple. I mean, there's 2 of them. It is what it's in there for a reason. You got it. You got to recycle those cards, and your opponent's gonna be like, "Oh, good. I'm so excited you did that." You're like, "I know. Appreciate you." And then they scoop at a sadness. Then we got Peonia. We got 2 Peonia with a V-Union in your deck. You only have 1 piece or 1 of each piece, so we're gonna need Peonia. You pick up put up to 3 prize cards, into your hand. Then for each card put in your hand, you put a card back. So if you know a Mewtwo piece is prized, you hopefully guess the right 3. You do have 2 copies though, which is good. And also lets you know like, what is prized as well. But again, it's one of those things you're like, so you're not gonna draw a lot of prizes usually, unless you do the Mewtwo thing. But most likely you're just gonna try to stall them out. So you do the thing. You're like, oh, I don't need, again, you're like, oh, I already used my Rotom. Oh, I don't need the Snorlax, or oh, they're not a V deck. You can put those cards into your prizes, so you don't have to worry about getting them later. Then we got Zinnia's Resolve. Another way to discard Mewtwo. I thought it was really cool. Underrated card. Never really needed in the format, but, like, as their supporter, because there's so many other supporters, but we got 20 supporters in our deck. You have to discard 2 cards, Mewtwo pieces. Draw a card for each opponent's Pokemon in play. So it's kind of like you might not draw a bunch of cards, but you, more importantly, put those Mewtwo pieces in that discard pile to get back. Start winning by letting your opponent do nothing. It's awesome. Then we got the Misfortune Sisters. Look at the top 5 cards your opponent's deck and discard any number of items. Your opponent shuffles the rest back in their deck. So it's definitely thin your opponent's deck. Help with the stall. Oh, discarded 2 switches. And you're like, you can only use 4. One of those things. So your helps deplete your opponent resources while you're stalling. So maybe it gets you that deck out win, but also depletes the resources so later you could do like Snorlax, which is really cool. Sometimes you will discard 0, but with high item counts, like against Lost Box and stuff, you're going to hit something. And you hope those cards are switches or, they're Mirage Gate or something like that. Or if you're playing in Stage 2 decks, hit that rare candy before they can do anything. Alright. Then we got Sydney. Your opponent reveals their hand. Discard to any combination of Tools, Special Energy, and Stadiums. So, there's no Crushing Hammer. But Sydney, I think out of nowhere, as long as you just Sydney. Like my opponent's got 9 cards in their hand. It also combos with your Manaphy. Or you Manaphy, and then you can see, or you ace a roll, and you're like, alright, next turn, they got 4 energy in their hand. Obviously, they probably can't attach all 4 in one turn. Usually. So, you do that thing. Now, special energies aren't as relevant now, but I think it's more for the stadium and the tool part. Then you're going to want to discard cards. This card might have got worse without all the special energies, but like I said earlier, there are still enough played where this card, I think, does deserve a spot. Maybe, I don't know, 2 Misfortune Sisters, but I like to mill, so, but I think Sydney's still a solid choice. Look at that stylish hair. I wish my hair looked that stylish. Then we're going to move on to the boss. Lysander. Put your favorite boss in the comments for me. Let me know who it is. Switch your opponent's bench Pokemon when they're active. I did find interesting there's only 1 boss with the amount of Snorlax in the deck, but I guess we do have ways to recycle it. I just thought it was super interesting that was only 1 boss in the deck. But I'm not the control player. I'm just explaining it. Bring up that Pokemon, lock in with Snorlax, laugh at your opponent, have a good day, and move on. We got Cook. Hold on, let him cook. That's what this person was doing. Person's friends were like, hold on, let him cook. Heal 70, just another way to stall. Your opponent can... Well, that's crazy. I healed 70 and then 200 or something with your Mewtwo. Oh, you can almost knock out that Snorlax. Just kidding. Heal 70. So definitely let him cook. Then we have a blank card. All right. Didn't load. Penny. Okay, I can't load Penny. I will show Penny on the screen. So return up to one of your basic Pokemon and all cards attached to it to your hand. So look at all those basic Pokemon. You got... that's what I'm saying, works with Pidgeot. It's just one of those good cards. It just helps the stall part of it. You're like, ooh, you bossed up my Rotom and hit it for 150. Just pick it up, crazy. Or it helps your Snorlaxes live. Your opponent tries so hard, you did cook the heal. Boom, pick it up, another one. Boom, move it on. Or sometimes you just open with Eternatus, and you're like, I can't really be having that. Next we got, I'm assuming this card also won't pop up. Oh, Arven popped up. Penny just didn't want to pop up. Penny, too good. Okay. We got Arvin. Search your deck for a item and a tool. Don't forget tools. Starting in the Scarlet and Violet expansion are their own category, so they're no longer an item, but are a trainer. So this card gets an item and a tool. We do have 2 tools. One, very good. One, I'm not sure, but hopefully someone below can let me know on the second one. Put them in your hand. So, I mean, you see the items we got. It's basically going to let you get energy or whatever. We'll talk that in a second. Then we got Team Yell's Cheer. Shuffle in any combination 3 Pokemon and supporters, except for this card because they learned their lesson, back in your deck. So, just a way to recycle cards or Pokemon or whatever, just to help keep your annoying cards going. Like if you found out, oh, you know what? My Misfortune Sisters hit 4 items. Well, they probably got a lot of items in their deck, you know, that kind of stuff. You're like, Ace of Roll, you know, really good. Or you want that boss back. Stuff like that. And they're just cheering you on. Look at that section. They're just cheering you on as you go. Then we got the 4 Ultra Ball. Obviously discard 2 cards, hopefully named Mewtwo. Part of Mewtwo V-Union. Get a Pokemon. Pretty simple there. We got Nest Ball returning. You see the Sun and Moon expansion, but is returning in Scarlet and Violet 1. And it says search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put on your bench, shuffle your deck. So boom, that's why it doesn't combo with Pikamugo or Eternatus. Just remember that. It does not combo with either one. It will not work. Please do not do that. It would be embarrassing. Then we got the Sweet and Heavy Ball. Another way to look at your prizes as well. So you like see that and you're like, alright, I don't need a Peony in this game. You know what I'm saying? Or you're like, oh shoot, I got this in my prizes too. But also with your 1 Klefki and 1 Miltank and stuff like that, definitely a card. There's no point in not playing it, basically. Like with your Rainy Eternatus too. There's no point in not playing this card in your deck. We got the Palpet also returning in the Scarlet and Violet expansion. Gets another lease on life here. Shuffle 2 supporters from discard pile in your deck so you can combo with Team Yell's Cheer and put that back in your deck, and then later Team Yell's Cheer other supporters back in your deck. And then Silene this, and it all works together. Has a lot of cool plays. Just let you keep being annoying with your supporters. We got that Energy Surge. We do play Psychic and Water, and luckily, the support we talked about earlier can help you search for this to help you search for the energy. Pretty simple there. Get that. It's Surge of Water, which you might be getting for your Manaphy. Then we got that Escape Rope. Both players switch. Pretty simple there. You know, your opponent opens one, got a bad start, benched a Pokemon on their bench randomly, going second for some reason. You just hit them with that. You have Snorlax, and maybe they can't retreat, and you get them. We got the 1 switch. Obviously, you got to switch that active. Sometimes you don't want it up there. Sometimes I don't want my Rotom V-Star active, you know? That's just a me thing, though. Help you get out of there for sure. We got the Lost Vacuum. Put a card from your hand in the Lost Zone. Choose a tool or Stadium in play and put those in the Lost Zone as well. Just get those annoying cards out of there. Your opponent's got that Pat to the Peak. Get out of my face. We don't want you. Cool Vacuum, Gold Vacuum, Lost Zone. It looks really cool. Put that in the Lost Zone. Then we got Echoing Horn. Whew. That really great card with Boss's Order, or to finish off your Dude Inside Explosion. Put a base Pokemon for your opponent's discard pile onto the bench. Like, dang, you really discarded Lumineon. I know I keep going to Lumineon, but that's just like the go-to. Because you don't need it, and you're like, I don't want to put Echoing Horn Boss. I got a Snorlax. That's crazy. Super cool. Also just gets annoying cards, you know. On the field they might not want. Like, oh, I have a Dunsparce on my deck. I don't need it this game. Well, that's crazy. You're going to have to put on your bench. So, eats up a bench spot. Really cool. And if the last couple days or anything and Reggies are still alive, you just put a Reggie on the bench they don't need. Then we go to the tools here for Seal Stone, 1 V-Star Power. So if you haven't used Rotom, use this. Search for any card. Because sometimes you just got to search for a card. Sometimes you haven't Rotom. Your Rotom's prize. You still need it. You're like, I'm 1 piece away. This stone unlocks that piece for you and just let you search for it. It's just got to be attached to a V. So you just put it on your Rotom, realistically. Then we got Tool Jammer. So as long as this tool is in your attached to your active Pokemon, tools on your opponent's active have no effect. Except for Tool Jammer. I don't know what tool this is for. So if someone in the comments can let me know, like, what tool, because Air Balloon's rotating. So if someone can just let me know what the Tool Jammer stops, you know, that'd be really cool. I'm sure it's something obvious I haven't thought of, but if you could just let me know in the comments below, I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. Then we move to the energy. We got the 3 Psychic. Obviously, your Mewtwo takes 3 Psychic to do the 300, but you do only need 2 for Explosion and healing and stuff, so pretty simple on that one. We got the 2 Water for the Manaphy. I'm just excited to try that card. Clearly, I keep mentioning it. I just want to try that card. I'm excited for that. I'm going to go pick up one at my local game store, and if your local game store has one, you should support them with that $1 bill. Because local game stores keep us going, and they are the best. And we finish off with 2 V-Guard Energies. It takes 30 less from Vs, so it just helps you tank. Doesn't have to be on a V. Just put it on a Pokemon, tank it out, let them do whatever, and let them live, and get them out of there with your penny or whatever. So this was top 16 Mewtwo control box from Japan. Wild, insane. I love it. It just looks so cool and awesome. Yeah, I want to try it out. I just want to try it out. It looks super fun. We got a 1K coming up locally. If you want to check that out on my Twitter, maybe you come and play this. Who knows? With that being said, though, this is a really cool looking deck. I'm Josh Hatter. This is the T-Table. Go follow PokeCA_book on Twitter for all your cool Japanese decks. And I will see you next time on the T-Table.